Today I want to do immediate mode graphical user interface, and the first mention of this was, I think it was created by Case Muratori. He first described his API idea for doing a user interface, but in a different way from Retained, and he explains in his video. There is also this tutorial that's really great that goes into implementing a basic immediate mode GUI, and I will be using the asset packs from Kenny. He has really cool assets for UI. And close this. And I was thinking about making these 5 types of UI or UI elements. A button, the basic one, and a window where you can use the mouse to drag, a slider, input for text or numbers, and a color picker. So that's why I have this tab open. I was looking into how to make how I would render this type of color picker. And let's start with the button. So the difference between retained and immediate is that retained, you generally have a callback. So you can think about in web development, you have the on-click attribute on the button that you assign the function that will execute when you click the button. But instead, the immediate mode, it's more it's different. It will look like this. You call button and you pass the rect for that. I remember it was ID and the rect, and then here you print your text, for example. So when the button is clicked, this function will return true, and then we'll execute everything that is in this if statement. So that's really powerful, because you don't need to, and you also run in a game loop or in a loop this. So if you have, for example, a variable a here, a equals 0, then when you press, you do this, and then the next iteration you have basically a basic counter. If there is some UI here where you render the a value, it's automatically updates because you basically re-render everything. So that's a really cool way to manage the state, because you don't need any synchronization. For example, in React, you need to call the set state to update the value, and then the React render will schedule for the re-render of the page. So I have a basic implementation here of just rendering the button. I'm with clicking W. I just changed the texture and moved the text a little bit on the Y. And move down the text a little, just to give the effect, but it doesn't react to mouse clicks yet. And that's the first thing, is to have a UI state. So you can see that it has a struct with the mouse X, mouse Y, mouse down, and these two attributes, hot item and active item. So what this means is the hot item is when you hover on some item, some UI element, and when you hover, you set this value to the current ID that you're hovering. So this is the first part of the puzzle. So let's actually create the state. I can create, let's say, type def struct UI states, and let's add the mouse X, mouse Y, and mouse is mouse down. The hot item and the active. So let's create event. So actually, I want to create a global. And then okay. UI state equals everything set to 0, and I want to have here, I can get the SDL get mouse state X and okay, so UI state dot mouse X and UI state dot mouse Y. So here I get the current mouse X and Y. Down, okay. So I have the X and Y. Now I need the rect of the rectangle. So here's the okay, so I have the destination rect that I'm doing. We'll create this. It needs to be here because I need the texture width and the scale. So instead of, let's say, button rect, now change the rect. So mouse state and mouse state. I need to compare. So let's create a function. called bool create button. Let's have a variable button here. Just change button texture. So button. The first is a rect. Texture. I need also an ID. Let's hard code this as one. Direct. The UI state is a global, so we don't need to worry. And let's log something when I hover. Okay, so this I this ID. So if there is a function for point in rect, I can do this. Actually, vector mouse mouse.x UI state dot mouse x UI state dot mouse y. So I have the mouse position, mouse, and the rect is the rect. If there is else, it's not hovering. So I render this. Button. Button texture. Button right. This would be also the button, but let's leave it there. I'm setting the text. So it's a button text here. This is the rect. Now I want to this one is the same. I just leave this, but without the color modification. So I think it should work. So it renders the button. If the state of the mouse it is inside the rect, I just change the color for this texture and then render the texture. Otherwise, it just renders the the regular texture without the modification. So let's see if it works. A lot of errors. That is not finding the F32. Okay, so I missed here. Identifier not declared. And texture. Okay, it didn't change here. Texture. The rect is actually button rect. Okay, you can't assign this. Let's see. Right, X. X and Y with height. It is complaining about vector 2 pointer. So it receives a pointer. Both the rect and the mouse. Button should return a value. Okay. Let's return false for now. So okay, one thing that I forgot is to, at the ends, you should clear the UI state. Can I do mem set UI state? It is 0 and the size of UI state. I guess you can, right? No? It's not a pointer. So this? No? Okay, let's UI state dot. I only need to wait. Right. Oh, wait, I think that's not the problem. So when it reads inside and so the mouse Y is updated every time. So when do I need to do this? Maybe to go back. Maybe it was setting like it is. It persists, just like the color for example, the renderer. You like set render draw color. You need to specify different colors if you want for different elements. So here I find almost dark black color, and here I need to change that color to draw the button as white. So you can see that now it is working. So when I hover, I already have a nice effect to show that I'm hovering. And now I need to set the hot item. So if I'm hovering, I don't remember exactly what is the logic. I remember if it is inside, and so inside, so if yeah, I need to look at how he does. So the button, okay, region heat, UI state, so okay. So we'll check if it heats, and then if it is, then activate, okay. So it was correct, what I was thinking. The Y state, the hot item is the ID, so you set the current ID, and if the active item, so if it is not active and is clicking, mouse down, then I set the active item with this ID. UI state active item is both hot and active. Hot. So the hot item. Yeah, I remember doing this before. There is some code here. If you can prefer to read my implementation. Where is it? I need it. There is it. Okay, so I found. You can see that I implemented this just to show how it looks like. So have the x coordinates, the x and y coordinates of the mouse. You hover. These are two buttons, and I think you can see the console. Maybe this. Okay, so one button and click. You can see that it's active and clicks. Yeah, just for some reason this is messing up the coordinates. You can see that it turns purple. So the start, the hot items is always 0. So let's do this. At the start of the frame, UI state hot item equals 0. 0, yes, okay, so because it's the ID. And in the end, you just remove the UI state mouse down. If the mouse is up, and So you active item, you reset the active item. Okay, so let's make down. So there is a event type for the mouse down. Mouse. The mouse. I think it's the mouse state. Mouse event. There, button event. So event type. Yep. Let's add event type. Not it's mouse button down. So UI state mouse down equals true, and mouse up equals false. Okay. Okay, so we can okay, so mouse, I pass the ID, direct, mouse position. Okay, so let's look at the mouse, the button. So a first thing is to see if the region is hit. So basically separate this. So if it hits, so let's extract this. So hot item ID and active item, 0 mouse down. Okay. And that's it for this. Now I see if the hot item UI state hot equals the ID. So if the hot item is equal the ID, and if it is not, then it is not being pressed. but if it's the hot one, I want to do this, render this texture. So if it's active, if UI state active item equals ID, then I want to render the active one, which is this one, but the button press text. So I probably want to keep the modification, and if it's not the active, then I render the regular button texture. And that's basically it for rendering. So I need to check here for the return value. Active item. So it is not holding down, and it is so basically I'm saying that if both hot item, so it means the mouse is inside the rect and it's active, so it's clicking because it needs to be the mouse down to assign the active item ID, and I release the button, then I return true. So it will execute whatever the if statement is, otherwise it is false. And let's see. I think that's all. Let's see if it works. So hovering is working, and then when I click, and it works, but it is showing the not the pressing. Click it. Let's change this, and for this one, I'm the active. So the hot item will render the regular, correct? So it will render the button press, but it is not. Okay, so you can see that I'm clicking, and when I release, clicks. But it is not. It's not applying to this one. I'm not sure why. The button texture. So the hot item, the active. Is not the active, is the regular texture. Oh, okay, so the button press. Okay, so I need to do. Yeah, so we can do this, and it's applying the different texture. Okay, so now you can see that it clicks. Now it works. So you can see that is a really simple implementation. The first thing is to set up the values the ID for the both hot item and the active item. Then based on these values, you render actually the UI element. So you need to see if it is hot. If it is not hot, the basic element. If it's hot but not active, the over state. And this is the clicked state, or the active. And here you just need to make sure that it is was clicked when the mouse was released, but you can change this, because if you want to, for example, have so this clicks several times, so you keep pressing down, and basically returns, and the value that returns, it is what manages the execution in this if statement. So you could create more buttons, let's say 2, and then we need to create another rect. And let's create button rect 2. And then this. Okay, so this button rect 2 have the width. Let's do in the top left corner. It won't have any button rect 2, any text, because the text is here. Click it. So you can see the button and click. So click the button 2, button 1, and it works. So it's really simple implementation. And okay, so let's do, I can remove this. I want to do a window. Let's commit this, add button. I want a window where I can click and drag. So let's first load the background texture. Background text. I think I called background. Ground. Okay, background texture. I need a rect. Let's say window rect. So let's actually have the window here. Window rect. The width and height. Okay, so button texture divided by 2. And let's. So I don't want to render this anymore. And I want to. So I think the window is different because you don't want to execute anything in when you click. Let's try to render the background texture. Window, it's not window, it's window. Okay, so it almost buys everything. Okay, I think I want to. Okay. So instead of rendering, the button rect will be the window rect.x. X. Right. It is child rect. Y and Y. The width will be the same as the button. And height. Okay, so it renders. Wait. Window rect. Okay, so it is the offset here. So let's change this. Let's say 5. Okay. Let's see 15. Maybe. Okay. I need another rect for the handle. Window handle rect. And it will be the same window handle rect. window handle rect 0. The height, it can be maybe 50, and the same as window. It's not a texture, but is a. Where's the render rect? Okay. You can see that has a handle. Let's actually view rect. It is. Let's change the color. Okay. And I need to know if it is mouse down, okay. And basically, if the UI state it is mouse down, I want the it's a little tricky because you need to store the offset for this, because if you click in the middle of the handle, you need to store the offset to the top left corner of the window, because you don't want to snap the window to the current mouse position. Let's see. Vector true offset. So the offset I need to know if it is inside actually. Here I can use this. Mouse state and mouse and handle rect. So it's the mouse down. Okay. Then let's do the first thing. It is to the window rect dot x equals UI state dot mouse x and then the y. Okay, so the handle itself is not moving. I need to change the handle. Where's the handle? X. And y state dot mouse x. And so you can see that it is so moves too much. So instead of doing this, I could add the padding here, like 5, and maybe 10. So if it's moved too fast, close the window handle rack. Let's do the half the height. And X. Probably 17. So actually it is less. Almost works. And let's go back to 70. Okay, so actually less than. So if I move too fast, it it loses, but now it is mostly working. Yeah. So I want to have a way to close that window. So I have another texture for that. It is called square cross. Cross texture. Let's create the texture. Texture. Cross texture. So I don't think I need this. And I have a boolean for window active, true. And if the window is not active, I don't draw the window. So the window render texture. Need to render the button. So after this, the cross rect, I need to create this cross texture. Let's create the rect. DL f rect cross rect equals 0. And it is based on, okay, so cross rect x Y, which is the cross texture width, the height is the same, and I don't think I need to set this because it will be based on the window position. So direct. Window handle, moving this. But the first one I need to actually find. I can simplify this. The window rect width minus the width of the texture. So it renders the top right corner. And then here I need to update the rect. Okay, here cross rect. So actually the cross rect is a button. I was forgetting this. So I would need a different button. So let's copy paste this. Call button close because it is in the. So I can simplify this and just render this. Render close. Render close. And cross rect. And this is window active false. Button close. Okay. Can just render the rect cross texture. The cross rect. Okay, so the X and the Y, it is based on the window rects. Minus the cross rect dot width. Actually, this is the X and the Y, it is exactly the same. It is not. Okay, so button, close button, cross rect. So it should play on top of the handle. Button, render texture. So I probably can't do this because it is not displaying there. Square cross. Square cross rect. It is with the y0. Maybe I need to divide by 2. So the width, this is correct. It's not displaying. Let's try. Yeah, let's try this. Cross. Right. It's still not displaying. Okay, okay, so before the render shouldn't will not work. Let's see. Nothing. Let's try this. It's simply not displaying the image. Cross texture. It is simply not displaying. I don't know why. Yeah, so okay, got this. The slider. Let's actually remove all this. Active this. Actually, let's so let's actually commit as window. Okay, so basic button. So we need to render a texture for the slider. GL texture slider. And for the slider, rect. Slider rect. Okay, can be the same, but the text. slider right. What's happening? Slider texture. Forgot to load the texture. Slider texture. Slider. Okay, so quite small. Let's okay. Actually, I don't need the height. Height be. It looks weird. And the texture. Now load the arrow. Arrow texture. Texture. And here I can arrow rack. Arrow texture. Arrow. Arrow up. Okay, a little big. So when the mouse down, I state mouse down, and it needs to be inside of, where's the pointing rect? So it is the mouse and the arrow rect, then the arrow rect dot x, it is equal to mouse dot x plus the arrow texture, the width divided by 2. It is not correct. It is actually the arrow rect width and height divided by 2. And this. Okay, so actually no. I can't move the y, only the x. See. Okay, so yeah. It's almost like the nice. We can move. I can clamp if the arrow rect it is is less than the slider rect dot x. Actually, let's if it is greater, or if arrow rect dot x it is less than slider rect dot y dot w dot x plus slider rect dot w. So the slider x and the slider x plus the width, and if it actually both need to be true because it is confined in that space and I can't move more and it is stuck. I managed to move and then it got stuck. Yeah. Because it's not the arrow rect, it is the new value and new x. New x. New So you can see that it doesn't move more. It's a little. Because I think of this. Yeah, I think that's okay. And I need a way to get a value from this. So let's actually print this new x value that is a float. So I need to way to normalize this. I think that there is a mapping function where you map from two values to 0 and 1. I wonder if SDL has this map. I don't think it has. Function to map from two values to 0 and to run. Okay, so this. I want the formula. It doesn't map range. Okay, so I think this. Give me the sequence. It's just a macro. Okay, that's nice. So what it does? Two ranges A and B, A1, then value S. So it seems that is 300. I don't. You can just do this for range A and range A start a start, a range, and the second range would be 0 and 1, and the value is the new x. It's only integers. Into value. Value. The end. Okay, that's working. And so I have a slider. And slider. Remove this. And I will do a short break and then try to implement these two. I think that I will end here. It is some work, but it is also very simple. You just need to have a setup correctly, but you can see that it is very straightforward how to do the immediate mode way. And I think that those are a little bit more complex, but it is doable. For example, the color picker, I have an example here. You just need to create 2 for loops to iterate through every pixel, or maybe you could use a shader, but you could just iterate through 2 for loops and iterating each pixel. You can see that the values are decreasing in the middle, for example. So let's take the red. So you can see that if I move here, all of the 3 values in the RGB goes down. Then you have full black. And going left, you just decrease these 2. And since I already implemented some way to do this kind of drag, it will be just getting the index of each and maybe doing some math. And in the case of the input, I don't think that it is also too difficult. It's a lot of work. You just need an array of the text you want to store. Maybe you have something like this. And for each key press, you just do an input and the current index, and you assign the value. So like this. And when you hit backspace, you just do this and set the for empty character. or you could use a null terminator, and you just display that the input. The only thing that you need to do is to, when you click, to set a variable. So if it is active, for example, it's false, then you click on the input, then you change to true, and then if it is true, it is active, you just show the input and also the cursor that is blinking. You can see my cursor here. You could also implement a blinking effect, and you need to keep the X position for the input, and for each character. In this case, I'm using the debug text rendering from SDL, and then they have a fixed size of, it's a monospace font and a fixed size of 8, very small, but you can scale that with this function, and you just need to keep track of this. So you render basically each character, iterates through this, and iterating through each character to render. And I think that's basically because you can specify here, for example, you will specify the X position and the Y and the text. So you actually don't need to show each character. It's just showing the input. You already have the input, so and that would be basically it. So I'll push this, and I think I hope I showed something interesting, and I think that's it for today.